Welcome to the Life After 50 show, helping you navigate the second half of your life. Today's show is sponsored by Find Houston Senior Care, your one-stop shop for everything senior care and senior living in the greater Houston area. Visit findhoustonseniorcare.com today. And now, here's your host, Kathryn Watson.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Life After 50 show. I'm Kathryn Watson, and I'm the owner of Find Houston Senior Care, a web directory with lots of resources for you. I also put on the senior conference every year, several times during the year, along with care partners. We put on a wonderful senior conference, and my guest today is actually going to be in our March conference. So I'll give you information for that at the end of the show. But today I am here because I love giving you information and help to help you navigate this journey of the second half of your life. And Troy, thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate you being here. We're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart because when I was in my 50s, we started going through changes in my family. Parents started needing more help. Things were going on. There were medical issues. There were mental health concerns. There was a lot of things going on. And quite frankly, we didn't have a clue what to do. And my guess is a lot of our listeners feel the same way. And so you're just kind of out there. Nobody trained you for this. They didn't have Caregiving 101 in school that you're required to take. So we don't know what to do. And the guest I have today, Troy Williams, is with Oasis Senior Advisors. And he is here to provide that solution, to give you the resources and give you the information and help that you need. So Troy, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Kathryn. I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of just showcase the Oasis Senior Advisors value and help others who have the need.
Great. And so you are a certified senior advisor. And a lot of people don't even know what that means or what that is. So could you explain to us what exactly is a certified senior advisor?
I'd be glad to. So a certified senior advisor is someone who has been trained, passes an exam across a very broad range of issues or topics related to senior care, senior living. And it's anything from financial, taxes, Medicare, Medicaid, that would be a funding source, whether that's insurance or other funding sources for senior care, senior living that are available. And so again, and then also the senior housing industry, if you will, or senior living industry. So very broad. I'm only deep personally in the senior housing and senior living industry, but the services that I offer as part of a senior advisor is helping people get started in the right direction, bring resources around them that they may not be aware of, that I am, who can help, who are experts in the areas that I mentioned earlier.
And that's the beauty of what you do is you are local and you are a local company. You are connected with other people in the industry that can help. So if you don't have the answer that I need today, chances are somebody who does, or you can find out who can help me with that situation, right?
That's correct.
Absolutely. And, when my family went through this, we didn't have that. We got connected with somebody. They were, I think, in upstate New York or something. They had no clue about Houston, Texas. They even tried to send me to places that were way down in Sugar Land, and we're up in Tomball, and that just didn't work. They looked at it on the map, and it didn't look that far. They had no clue. Because they weren't here and they weren't connected to those resources, like you said, elder law attorneys, financial planners, social workers, all kinds of different professionals that come together to help. We have a staying in this industry, it takes a village
Mm.
to care for someone. And it does. It really takes a village. And I think that's what I like about you and what you do and your company does is you provide that village
Right.
for somebody. So that's really great. And with the certified senior advisor designation, we can be assured that you've got the qualifications, you've got the knowledge and the expertise to be able to help families.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, when should somebody consider speaking with a certified senior advisor? When is the right time, Troy?
Well, it's a great question. It's one of the tougher, probably one of the tougher ones to answer for family because they don't know. And so generally I like to think of myself as something of a puzzle master, meaning, um, I help most families don't know what the box top for their puzzle looks like. When you put a puzzle together, you have a pattern that you follow and it helps you put it together. And in 90% of the situations that I work with, families just don't know where to start. So usually if you have any questions around senior care, and I can give you some examples, but whether that be a geriatrician recommendation or whether that is an elder law attorney recommendation, as you mentioned, I mean, those are examples. The easiest thing to do is have a conversation. That's how I start.
Mhm.
It is just giving me a call or someone else who may know me as an example and refers to me. It just starts as a conversation. And once we learn, and I learn about what the situation is, it really helps me kind of put that puzzle together for them. And then we can begin building out, what's the next steps and what actions do they need to take? Where can I take action on their behalf, which happens frequently as well.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because, everybody's situation is different.
Correct.
My situation is different from yours. It's different
Yep.
from Susie down the street and Joe over here. We all have unique situations,
Mhm.
and there's no one right answer for everybody. I've often had, and I've been in this industry for quite some time, and I'll have people say, "Well, what's the best assisted living in Houston?" There is no best.
Right.
It's best for your situation,
Correct.
and there's so many factors that you have to take into consideration. And I think that's where you come in. You have the time and you have the expertise to sit with somebody, maybe virtually right now, but you can sit with them and really discuss what's going on in their
Ex-
family, what their needs are. And sometimes people don't really know until they start having that conversation, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we begin to plan and really, again, more around just discover, what are the concerns, what are some of the recent issues, and it can be anything from recent hospital stays, ER visits. Maybe someone's noticed some changes physically and cognitively in their loved one, and they just don't know where to start with some of that, and
Mhm.
they're a little frantic as well, very concerned, and so yeah, it begins this again with the conversation. So it's just it's a neighbor. Think of it that way. It's a
Mhm.
neighbor with the expertise who's there to help.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then the
That's a good
services.
way of putting it. Yes.
Yep, right.
And you can help people. I mean, primarily you think of Oasis Senior Advisors as a placement service. But with the certified senior advisor designation, I think you go a bit further. You go a step beyond just a placement service. You help people with all types of situations, right?
I do. About, just roughly when you think of it just from a number of clients, about 75% of my clients I never place.
Hmm.
They are simply asking, "Hey, we know this is a time for hospice, as an example, or I need someone at home to help my mom," and we find out what that kind of help might look like. Those are two examples. Then I help them with locating the right resources for those folks that I trust, that
Hmm.
have kind of proven themselves as well to me. That can also be one of the harder ones. For example, tell me about nursing homes, you know, and so some of the harder, probably some of the harder decisions to make there, and so I can help with those as well. So, a vast majority of the work that I do is really just giving advice and direction,
Mhm.
and I've had, and it's really helped me validate what I'm doing when someone tells me, I've been trying for months through the different offices, and think of like Medicaid or the Veterans Administration, maybe a nursing home or two, and no one has been able to give me consistent and direction
Mhm.
and solid answers. And when someone tells me that I'm the first one they've talked to that has given them solid direction, that just or validates that I know what I'm doing and I really like it. That's one of the
Yeah.
best points of feedback I get.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. And it's so true. I mean, you get feel like you're bounced around in the system sometimes when you're
Right.
talking to different people and you're not getting the answers. And part of it is you don't know the questions to ask, and the people that you're talking to,
Mhm.
maybe they work for an agency and they don't really have time to spend getting into everything that's going on with you to find out what your needs are. And so it's important to find somebody like Troy that can really take that time and listen. I think that's the most important thing,
Mhm.
the listening,
Yep.
um, so that you can really understand what's going on with that individual. Because when people call you, I would say probably 95% of the time they're in fear.
Right.
They're in sheer fear. They
Yep.
don't know what the future's going to bring. They
Right.
know that things are not going the way they thought they were going to go. We all have this little life plan that we
Mhm.
think, and we've got it all planned out, and then boom, a
Right.
bomb drops on it, and we don't know what to do next. And I'm sure over the past year, it's been even um, more frightening for people. Have you seen a difference in the past year with people that are calling you?
Yes, I have, and I've kind of validated this with others in the industry is and my peers as well is when COVID struck and the response to it started last March. Many families pulled loved ones out of assisted living communities, as an example. I wouldn't say it was a high percentage, but some measurable for sure, mainly because they couldn't visit their loved ones. And
Right. Everything with total lockdown.
right, and then hospitals stopped a lot of their elective surgeries, which are not urgent situations. So a higher proportion of my clients were in very urgent medical needs and issues, higher care levels, deeper medical needs, and so tougher cases, I would call those, that just required someone, again, to your point earlier, to just listen and really help either validate the direction someone was taking, or help give them a new direction.
Yeah. And,
Mhm.
and a lot of times these families, well meaning as they were, pulling mom or dad out of the assisted living, were not prepared for caring full time
Right.
and what that all entailed. Um, they just see kind of the over surface of the situation at the assisted living when they go and visit. They don't see all of the day-to-day things that actually go on and all of the care that sometimes somebody needs, especially somebody with dementia. And there's a lot of seniors out there with dementia. Dementia diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean you have to go into a fully locked down memory care facility. A lot of our seniors are living in even
Mhm.
independent living and assisted living, and they have some levels of dementia.
Right.
Lockdown and the changes in our world
Mhm.
rocked their world. It really did this year. It
It did.
rocked their world. And it
Yep.
rocked the world of the families that care about them. Um,
Right.
I have often told my husband I'm glad that his mother didn't make it to this 2020 because I don't know that we or she could have handled it. because, it would have been difficult. Um,
It
so,
is.
yeah, yeah. So, a lot of times too, I find that families think that there's only nursing homes. That's it. That's
Right.
the only thing there is nursing homes. And we've all heard about nursing homes and we don't want to go there.
Right.
And so they're pleasantly surprised to find that not only are there assisted livings, but there's different levels of
Hmm.
assisted livings, different types of assisted living.
Right.
Can you talk just a little bit about that, Troy?
Sure. No, I generally, when I'm speaking with a client, I find that I will mention, hey, there's really kind of two formats of assisted living. Uh, and this is a generalization. There's the typical apartment format that we're all fairly familiar with. I mean, you see them, there's signs on the roads where they are. You look from the outside, they're a bit like a lodge or a Hilton Garden Inn, and so when you go in, it's very similar. Apartments facing large, wide, long hallways, central dining facilities, a lot of programming, and a lot of resources around them in regards to staff, if you will, management staff. That's the apartment style. Transportation is kind of one of those key services. The second format is residential, and it's a format that folks just are not familiar with at all. And when they are familiar, it's usually something that they have heard on a news report. And we've had a few of those recently in the Houston area. What's not good news, but the licensed residential formats are extremely suitable for residents who have probably a deeper care need or two. For example, mobility. If they're not really mobile, walking with a walker and they're wheelchair bound, you want short distances for folks who are in their mid 80s, right? So a residential format is really in that kind of situation is really a good fit. It's a very intimate level of care. When you measure it on, for example, caregiver ratios to residents, generally you have a much higher count of caregivers to resident ratios in a residential format. It's not always the case, but it typically is. And so those are the two types of formats, and they can be driven, decisions around those generally are driven by several factors. If you need transportation, for example, then apartment style is probably what you need. If you're very, very social and you want a lot of people around to interact with, then probably apartment style is very good for you. Doesn't mean you don't get socialization or friendships made in the residential format. There's just not as much opportunity because usually you're talking 7 to 10 residents, right? In a
Right.
particular residence, maybe 16 on a good day, particular location, but 7 to 10 is kind of the general number. But again, I think the value becomes the question of personality. Do you prefer one over the other? The other is sometimes bathrooms. That's one of those functions that we don't always think about in level of detail. If you want your own bathroom, maybe residential is not for you, because you're going to end up sharing, as an example, right, in the
Right.
form. But the overarching benefit that folks just aren't aware of is the intimacy of care in the
Mhm.
residential form.
Yeah. My mother-in-law lived in a residential care home, and we chose that because she had both rheumatoid arthritis and dementia.
Mm.
She had gotten to the point that she really couldn't walk. She fell, and so
Mhm.
she had to use. She could walk with a walker, very very short distances, but she
Mhm.
would forget when she was sitting down that her legs didn't work,
All
and
right.
she would try to stand up because she had dementia.
Yep.
So a big facility just would not have worked for her. She needed a small place where there was somebody who always had their eyes on her
Mhm.
and could immediately see if she was trying to get out of her chair and run over and say, "Oh, Patty Joe, can I help you? Would you like to
Yeah.
get up? Do you need to go to the restroom? Whatever." She needed that. So, but at an earlier stage in her life, that would not have been appropriate at all. Even in her early 80s, she was still fairly mobile and she still had more cognitive awareness. And she was very, very, very social.
Yeah.
So a small environment wouldn't have been right.
Right.
So it's important to know what's going to work for your person. And I want to address something. I find a lot of times families, like the children,
Mhm.
pick something that they would like.
That's
Right, right.
Yep,
And that's not really what they should be picking, right?
that's correct. Yeah, it's usually as well, part of that is, and I use this little symbol, I kind of go like this. It's right in front of you. What do you see? And they think they do this out of the best intentions. Is they actually want the best place, and the first thing they see is really the beauty or the design of the facility. And while that can be a bit distracting if it's not designed well, that is not the primary need of someone. Eventually, after a month, the location is just like being at home. You're so used to it, it's
Mhm.
not unique anymore. And then what becomes the most important things would be the care, which is very difficult to assess when you
Mhm.
visit, because you just don't know what to ask, you don't know what to look for. And the other could be like the food. Other amenities could be one of those, or services, but also the food that's provided is one to have. So, I recommend that folks, when we tour, is which, by the way, is starting to happen more and more now, is let's ask the right questions, which I can help with. And then secondly is, let's get past the facility. Typically, if it's clean and well kept, you're done. Don't worry if there's a chandelier or modern cabinetry or countertops in the apartment. That's nice. But let's look at what the other residents, what do they look like? Are they happy there? Caregivers, are they engaging with you? Are the staff engaging with you as well as engaging with the others? I like to go in when there's a meal being prepared or served, because that is the most active time, and you really can't hide much, when you're having to serve people lunch or dinner. And so, plus you get to understand what they serve on a typical basis for meals, which is very helpful.
And that is so important. I mean,
Mhm.
for a lot of seniors, food is the one thing that they have left that they can really enjoy. And
Right.
so that's really important for a lot of them.
It is.
So, and then knowing that that piece can also help you choose the right place for your loved one. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So, so let's go back to the CNA thing, because you're a CNA,
Mhm.
certified senior advisor,
Sure.
wrong designation. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So you talked about being a certified senior advisor. Are all people who do placement services
Mm.
certified senior advisors?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
no.
So what is the value of you being a certified senior advisor?
It's really kind of two components. One I've described before is that very broad, and depending on the function that someone performs, like let's say like an attorney, that's where their expertise is. They're going to have depth, obviously there, but it's that breadth of knowledge, breadth of awareness, different services. As an example, that's one. The other is that as a certified senior advisor, we are held accountable to be an advocate for the family or an advocate for the client.
Hmm.
So regardless of the situation, we're held to a standard, and there's a committee at the
Hmm.
national level for certified senior advisors, and that where there are complaints that can be filed, as an example, you'd hope it's always good news, but it's not always that way. Where your mindset is always in the best interest, and your actions that follow through on that, your integrity, if you will, are always in the best interest of the family or the client. Never your own, never a peer, right? When you're referring, for example, to a home care agency, that there's really um, no impression of self-service there,
Hmm.
as an example.
Okay, all
Mhm.
right. So let's talk about Oasis senior advisors. How much does it cost to hire you as a senior advisor?
Good question. And it's usually one of the first ones. there's and you're aware of this, there's a generation of people that are still with us who are I call them savers, very frugal generation. You think of just post World War II into the Korean War veteran era. Those families and those individuals, I classify, and I know them because I've served them. They are savers. They've saved their money as best they can, and so here I am, lost my train of thought, Kathryn. So
talking about the cost. How much
yes,
does it cost?
that's their first question is, how much is it going to cost me? Well, an Oasis service to families and their clients is free. There is no charge. And so it removes us from, that in a way, it removes us from that financial tie with the family. So we are compensated, mostly we're compensated by the assisted living communities, the care communities that we partner with. They think of them as my products in a way. And so I represent them to a degree when I'm presenting them to a client or a family, but ultimately, really, I'm serving in an advocate for the family when we're kind of three-way conversing with a community or communities. And so my service, there's no charge to families.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And it's such a help because, that is a time when people are on Social Security, and whether it's the adult child that's contacting you or the senior themselves, there's always that concern. How long am I going to live, and am I going to outlive my money? And
Right.
It doesn't matter whether you have millions in the bank or whether you have pennies in the bank. Everybody seems to worry about this because it's
Right.
that unknown. And we know that the cost of healthcare is going up, 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 and the cost of senior living is going up, up, up. And we know that, we could run out. And so we worry about that. So that's one less worry that people have to have. They can speak to you. There is no charge. You can give them resources. They're under no obligation to do anything, but they have that resource. And I love that. And like I said before, he's also local. So my show is basically for the Houston area. If you're in another area of the country, there are Oasis senior advisors all over the nation, I think, right? So they can reach out. And if you're in an area that maybe doesn't have one, you could look for a certified senior advisor. And that would be, good first step.
Yes, it would
be. Yes. Did you want to say something else?
No, I just agree with you. Yep,
Yeah.
that would be a great first step.
Super, super. So I want to thank you for being on the show because I think this is very helpful to families. And that's what Life After 50 is all about. I want to give resources and information and help for navigating that second half of our life. That's what we're doing. So Troy is also going to be at the senior conference, and I'm going to just put that link because it's this Friday. So if you want to talk to Troy at the senior conference this weekend or this Friday, you can come on to go to seniorconference.com. Again, it's a free resource. We have some amazing speakers, and Troy will be one of the facilitators in what we call our conversation circles. So these will be not recorded sessions where you can join Troy in a group. You can talk to him one-on-one like he and I are talking now, or if you prefer to be incognito, you can turn off your microphone, turn off your video, even turn off your microphone if you want and use the chat. So you have lots of options, but you can go in and you can talk and ask some questions, and that could be a first step. You can also reach out to Troy, and I'm going to put up his website first, which is oasissenior.com/Northwest-Houston. And I'm saying it out loud for the people who may be listening to this at a later time and not watching the video. And then, Troy, you also have a phone number that they can reach out and call you. Okay. Do you prefer calls or text?
Really the most effective way to get hold of me. But I have a really great answering service. So if I'm not available at the time you call, they'll certainly help you with any information and then make sure that I get your message without fail.
And that number is 832-820-9951. And again, this is Troy with Oasis Senior Advisors, and I'm going to put that website up again. So again, Troy, thanks so much for showing up on the show today, and let's see how we can help more people, right?
Right.
All right. We'll see you Friday at the senior conference.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Life After 50 show, where we help you navigate the second half of your life. Join us every Wednesday live on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And don't forget to visit findhoustonseniorcare.com and the senior-conference.com.